do not want to forget that. And share. Okay. Do you see, Gabe, can you give me like a thumbs up if you see the inviting process? Okay. All right. So this training is on the inviting process, and I have process underlined because it really is a process. There's so many different things that go into it, and this is advanced coach training, so it will look and sound differently than maybe what you heard in the last Inspire Fire training, because this is now taking you to the next level. We want you to be very, very successful with this, but with that comes a lot more in depth. So there's a lot more that goes into play if you really want to be successful in the inviting process. So I did want to let everybody know that the Beachbody Vitals are actually changing. So they announced this at leadership that what was previously a vital was invite. That was a vital of ours. Is now being changed to connect, invite, follow up. And I love that because it really is truly more the effective process than inviting. The actual invite itself is not going to get you anywhere. And I hope, like my hope for this training is to kind of eliminate the gaps in this process so that it flows and it's effective. Because if we just focus, like I see so many great things on this team, whether it be content or whether it be, you know, doing a lot of the things that I'm going to mention, but then there's little gaps that are just like, if you could just fill in those gaps and like connect the pieces, you're going to be so successful with this inviting process. So I do love that it's connect, invite, follow up. And so my hope for this training is that we kind of tie those three together and really get you solid, feeling confident with this process. There's going to be a little tough love, a little bit of like asking yourself the hard questions. But this is, again, for you to take this to another level. So you're not just the average Beachbody coach. Like, you're in this mastermind because you have now taken it. You've proven that you are taking this business to the next level, and we want to help you do that. So with that being said, second bullet point there, invites are useless without the foundation, the effort, the work, the energy put in beforehand. So there's so many different pieces to this puzzle if you really want the invite to work. And so if you're feeling frustrated or you don't really see the inviting working, I want you to really take a look, like take a step back and take a look at your business and all the pieces that go into the inviting process, because it's not just that throwing that invite out there, because it's the content, the value that you're providing, the follow-up, it's all these different pieces all coming into play. Connecting, and this is another part, the connecting, the forming, some people call it forming, so you may have heard that in the online training, in the new coach training in your online office. We'll call it forming, and that's setting up that initial relationship. But that connecting, I don't want you to use that as an excuse as to never inviting them. So that doesn't mean that you need to create this one-year relationship before you actually invite them. What that connecting means is that you are taking the time to look at them, and there's nothing, I can't say nothing, but one of my biggest pet peeves is when I get DMs in my inbox of like, hey girl, I don't know, have you ever thought about fitness or coaching? Like, they never took the time to look at my Instagram to already see, oh, she's already a coach, you know? And I don't, as a team leader, I don't want our team being known for that. So whenever we say invite, that's not meaning throw out 50 mass messages to anybody and everyone. We are so much, I don't want to say better than that, but when I think about this team and our team name, VIP, Vision, Intention, Purpose, I want you thinking about that in your business and in your inviting process. Visualize who you want to connect with. And I know Gabe has mentioned numerous times, lots of top coaches mentioned about having your list, work from a list. Know who you want on your team, your dream list of coaches. Know who your niche market is. And that's so important because that's going to be so beneficial in creating this. So I want you to know, have vision, who is your tribe? Who is your ideal coach, your ideal client? And have intention, be intentional about your inviting process and purposeful. So whenever we say connect, that doesn't mean that you have to be best friends for an entire year before you actually invite them. It just means take a moment, go into their Instagram, go to their Facebook, like first 5 most recent posts, and really take a moment to be intentional about how what we have to offer is specifically beneficial to them. Maybe they just had a baby, or maybe you find out, oh, she just got engaged. You know what? Maybe she's looking for some way to get in like the best shape of her life for her wedding. Like, be intentional about it and see why what we have to offer could specifically apply and benefit to them. So I have messaged people. One of the questions in our mastermind question thread was, how do you reach out to that initial, cold market where you don't know them? And I've been using myself as a guinea pig here and been doing a lot more of that on Instagram. And I have received messages where they said, you know what, you're like the 10th person to ask me. But they're like, I actually responded to you because you actually made it like it wasn't just, they could tell it wasn't just like a mass message. So it was either like I went on and saw that they either had an eating disorder, and I was like, oh, wow, I struggled with that as well. And I found that this platform's an awesome way to reach, people and provide that healthy lifestyle. And that's what we mean by connecting. Find the similarities, find the people, it could be as like a Jeep, like you both own a red Jeep Wrangler, and like, how cool is that? And it's like, find those similarities and like really just apply it. And then you already created that bond. You already connected in that way. So it doesn't have to be, we don't want you thinking that like you have to be best friends, but like be purposeful about your invite. And then providing value on your page, because we've said this before, very rarely will you ever have a yes right off the bat, right? So even if you, and I think this is on my next one, like if you're ghosted, you send out that invite, people are still watching you, people are still listening. And so it's so important that you have that value, that behind the scenes, like all of this foundation set up. So these are just things to think about. Clean up your storefront. This is our business, right? And this is advanced training. This is Mastermind. You are no longer there's 450,000 coaches out there. Like, you want to be in the top 1%. You want to be up there. You need to set yourself apart and really treat this as a business. So you think about your storefront, and we are so blessed that we have this platform to reach so many people. But what is going to separate you from somebody else? And I know for me, I wanted to see that, hey, this was legit. And I wanted to see that, what attracted me to my mentor was that she was very professional. She showed me where she went to what she is now. And she showed that very, like, I loved her graphics. I'm more of a visual person. So I loved, how she created that professional appeal to me. And so think about that, your cover photo, your profile picture, just that it's clear and people can recognize you and see. Create an open for business appeal. And so do people even know that you have something to offer? And so here are a few. Linktree, Wufoo application in your Linktree. So take note of this. This is like a whole nother training in itself, but we don't have time to get into that. But ideally, if I have a coach that's saying they're running this as a business, I should be able to come to your Instagram and see you utilizing this tool. because this is a free resource. All of those are free. Linktree, Wufoo, Jotform, however you want to use, whichever one you want to use, they're all free. It's one way to just maximize your reach. And that's what a lot of you ask, like, how do I maximize, or how do I really use Instagram and utilize it, or Facebook? But they're free tools. So when I come, so this is an action item, and Gabe and I are gonna hold you to this year. When we come to your Instagram or your Facebook, you should be able to see that you're open for business. Like, hold on a minute.
One.
Go ahead, Gabe.
One thing I'll add in, be careful how you use Wufoo, unless they've changed it recently. I think you only get 4, like, it's in a month. Okay, so it was 4 and now it's 3. So, like, to be honest, I don't personally have more than 3 people fill out a coach application, or 3 people fill out a like challenge group application. But just be aware, like, I once did the Wufoo for like my challenge group and I wanted feedback, and then I found out that it wasn't free after like so many. So just be careful how you decide to use that one as far as it being free.
Okay, so Wufoo, I think you get 3 forms and 40 entries. So after 40 entries, I don't know if they even collected any or how that works. So you're right, Gabe, like, I haven't had any issues with Jotform. Like, I have seen more coaches using that. It's a little bit more visual appealing. So that's another one, but I'm glad that you mentioned that about Wufoo, because you're right, you are limited. Yeah, you are limited to that. Okay, so Gabe and I are gonna go in and look at that. If you have any questions about that, you can always Google it, but we can help you as well. Cleaning up your cover, having a clear intro bio. So on Facebook, I highly recommend not putting anything Beachbody related, like I'm a Beachbody coach or whatever. That's totally your call. It's just, I've had experience where that can just be an immediate turn off, and they don't even give you the time of day, where you could have so much value and so much to give, but because they have previous experiences with, let's say, other coaches, they may not even like respect your time. So cleaning up your bio. When it comes to intro, think about, because you have a limited amount of space, and that's always my thing, where I just could go on and write forever. They don't let you do that. So you have to really think about what sets you apart. I know with me, my previous eating disorder, I have a heart for people that struggle with that, you know, and like, having been a teacher and being completely stressed out and just wanting freedom, I maximize that because I have a heart for people that are where I was. So think about your niche, things that you love. So maybe, you know, you are, I can't even think of things like different things. Let's see. Faith is one, but the more specific that you can get, the better. Maybe I know some people, like, their husbands are the police, and so they use that as like a connection with other, or military. You could put military wife, or you could put maybe a dog lover, or however that works, but something like your niche that sets you apart. And then we also want to see, if you haven't already, we want to see you taking advantage of the highlight reel, because what that is going to do is, I see so many of you making such awesome content on Instagram stories, and it's like a little bit of disheartening in a way, I know for me, whenever I spend so much time on videos or you know, nutrition posts or whatever, and then they're gone in 24 hours. So utilize the highlight reel, because then they're there and people can come and see them. They stay there. And so I don't know if you know how to use that, but whenever you have your story, just go down to the bottom and click highlight, and then you add it in. I also put word swag there for if you want to make them look nice. You can have covers on your different highlights, And that's just another thing where people, as you start to grow, and you may think, hey, I only have 400, 500 followers, nobody cares. We all started with 0 followers. So think long term. If you are growing this business, you want the more eyes that can be on your value. And some of you, like, I look at what you are putting out there, and right now you may only have 20 people liking it. You may only have in your stories, I don't even know, less than 100 people watching it. But I guarantee you, if you keep up what you're doing, it's going to grow. So people are going to go to that highlight reel. Like, I've had people that message me, and I'm like, how did they even see it? And then I remembered, oh, I have that in my highlight. And they saw that I was like working from San Diego the one time, and they're like, how are you doing that? And so little things that you may not think matter, that could mean the difference of getting another coach on your team. You know, so just think about and take advantage of all these things that our platform has to offer us. Okay, so building a strong invite, and I wanted to throw this out there because, again, this is one of those things where I'd say this is probably my biggest focus point. And I'm a huge advocate for inner work. This is really when my business started to flip, I believe, is when I started to respect my own energy and recognize my own energy. And so I don't mean that to be like you have to put on a good front and pretend you're happy all the time. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying to recognize when you're at a different energy state and respect it. So if you are, because you're in this mastermind group, you are a leader. So that requires you to protect your team, protect your own energy, your own self. And so before you go, like whatever energy state that you are in, like it's our job as leaders to protect and respect the energy that we're putting out there. So if you are having a hard time inviting, and this is why I'm tying this in there, if you're having a hard time inviting, I want you to really ask yourself where your energy level is. And if you haven't already, create a list, because as an entrepreneur, your energy level is going to go like this. Like that's a constant. Like you're going to have days where you feel like you can be and move a mountain, and you're going to have days where you want to go hide in a mountain. And what sets the greats from the good is the ones that can recognize that, respect it, and then you have a go-to list of how to get you back to that vibrational baseline. And so again, this has taken me 3 years, but it's truly helped so much. So when you are not feeling like inviting, you feel like low, I want you to think about different things, and each person, it may be different, but you're going to hear a lot of the top coaches say this, and there's a reason why there's books out there called The Millionaire Morning or The Miracle Morning, because how you set yourself up the very beginning of the day, that's setting you up for success. If you wake up and immediately you're scrolling Facebook, you're scrolling your Instagram feed, like you don't have a set procedure to get yourself in the right mentality to crush the day, then don't be like wondering why you feel like you have no motivation to run this business, because you started the day by just being reactive and just scrolling Facebook or scrolling Instagram. Like start being intentional. Like if you really want to move yourself and propel yourself and like crush goals, really, really be intentional on how you start the day. And so when you are inviting, it doesn't have to be a forced process, and it really shouldn't be an uneasy, like scared thing. And so starting out as new coaches, if this is scary for you or you don't really have the confidence yet, I highly recommend like blocking off maybe 30 minutes after your workout as you're drinking your Recover. Do your inviting then, because that's like those endorphins and that feeling you have after you crush a workout, that's going to flow into your inviting, you know? But if you haven't done your workout, you really haven't prayed, you really haven't like gotten your mind right, you haven't done any of that, and then you go and try to invite, like it's, do you see where that could be a complete 180 in your business? If you put that energy and you go into it with like, that's a strong invite because your confidence is high, you have high energy, people feel that, like energy is real. So that's a tip of mine. As cliche as that may be, it really makes a big difference. So protect your energy, and I would say don't invite until you have these things down, you know? Protect your energy, but protect others, what you're extending to others. Vision board, Gabe and I both have one of these. I'm a huge believer in it. If you don't have a vision board, highly recommend it because that's another go-to when you don't feel like inviting. Remembering why. What can this do for somebody else? What has it done for you? Like remember those things when you go to invite. Building a strong invite, like I said, work from a list. This will respect your energy. So at first, I will be honest, and I was like wanting anybody and everybody. But let me tell you, and this is a huge tip I wish I would have had like from the get-go, know who you want to work with and be very specific in knowing yourself and your tribe because that's going to protect your energy in the long run. You can be honest and be flat out honest that this is, you know, this will take work, and be flat out honest that you want somebody that, you know, wants to work hard, understands that this is just like a fitness lifestyle where it takes time and consistency, because that's going to save you a lot of frustration down the road, because if you just pretend this is super easy, you're going to attract people that think it's super easy, and you can't blame them for that. So be honest and upfront, and so that you're going to attract hard workers, you're going to attract the people that are going to, you know, see the long-term vision and put in the work and reap then its benefits. Scripts. As new coaches, I do recommend that you can start out with the ones that we have posted. We've posted numerous different scripts. Play around with it. But what I highly recommend is just practice, 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 and you're going to recognize your voice and what really flows with you. So what works for me isn't going to work for Gabe or, you know, different people on the team. So you just have to kind of play around with it and make it your own. So I do believe in scripts, just because at first you may only be sending out 5 invites. They could all look different. But when you grow this business, it's going to become more and more difficult to keep writing the same thing, essentially the same thing, 20 different times. So you are going to want to have a script, and that doesn't mean that you don't care. It doesn't mean that you're being lazy. It means that you're being smart. So those are your words, your intention, you know, your purpose, but you are then able to just reuse that in the different instance where it works. If you are finding, if you're getting like a little bit of fear behind inviting, it's because you are expecting a certain outcome. So I highly just recommend that you put a Post-it note right on your computer, and it's just like reach and release, like let it go. If you get caught up on one invite, that one training I posted the other day where the one coach was like, I got 25 invites out there when my coach got 1, because they were so caught up on like, well, what if I offend them? What if they think that I think that they need, like, don't. You have that intention. If you follow everything I already said leading up to this point, that you looked at their Facebook, you looked at their Instagram, you know that they could use this, you don't have to overthink it. I think a lot of people in this business, from what I hear a lot of trainings, they have the fear of no's. But I actually think it's the opposite. In my case, as a coach, mine was a fear of yeses. I was actually afraid, like, what if they do say yes? Then what? And I want you to ask yourself that, because I know for me that was a real thing. And I had to ask myself that hard question, like, Megan, is it because you don't know what to say if they say yes to coaching? Or like, I had to ask myself, do you not believe in yourself as a leader? or you don't believe in your systems, that like you have enough to offer them if they say yes to coaching. So if that is, like, ask yourself that question, are you afraid of them saying yes? Because I think a lot of times people think that we're afraid of them saying no, but I know for me, I didn't care if they said no, but I was actually afraid, like, what if they say yes, then what? Like, what if they want to join my team, then what? Like, that was a fear of mine as a new coach, and I don't want it to be a fear of yours. So if that's a fear of yours and you're asking yourself that question and you're like, Megan, like, I don't know how to bring on a new coach. I don't know if I'm a lead. Like, that's a conversation we need to have, because that's easily fixable, and we can go and start there. But if we don't get to the root of it, like why you're procrastinating inviting to the coaching opportunity, then we're not going to move forward. But if you recognize that as a fear, like, you're right, Megan, like, I don't know what to do with the new coach. If they sign up, I don't even know, like, the first thing to do. I don't have a welcome email. I don't know, like, what I do. We can go from there. And I would say with that is, I think a lot of coaches think that you have to have, like, the best trainings, we have everything already for us. So as a new coach, you can feel very confident in bringing on new coaches, because we all have a team page. You can just plug them right into the team page, say, hey, we have a new coach, and a lot of you do this, like, so well. Hey, please help me welcome new coach so-and-so to the team. And then they have their Coach Online Office training. Like, you literally would not have to do any more than that. Like, everything is on Google, everything's on YouTube, everything's there. But they're plugged into the team, so you can feel confident. But ask yourself that, like, is it a fear of yeses, that you just don't have a system in place? And that's our next one here, is systems. I really want you to ask yourself the hard questions, like, do you know what to say? If they say blank, then blank. Do you have systems, like a flow chart created? And this is an action item. Gabe and I want you to do this. Create a flow chart, a conversation flow chart. Like, you send out the invite, and we want you to send this to us. So you send out an invite. We want to see what that looks like. We want you to say, if they say yes, what are you sending them next? If they say no, what are you saying next? Okay, can I ask you why it's not a good time now? Like, what are you saying next? And then what is your tracking system, and what's your follow-up system? So write those things down, because we're going to be, we want to see those. We want to see those. This is only going to help you, because a lot of times this really prevents you from stagnation, because you don't know, you don't have systems. And it's Gabe and I, like, we're going to be tough luck here, and we want you to have a set system. If they say this, then we say this. Tracking systems, I've tried all of these. So some free options are pen and paper, Asana, Google Streak, and then there's a few paid versions. Teamsy is one of them, and My Connection Builder is another one. This is, again, individual preference. I have to go simple at this point. So I would say, out of all the things that I've tried on that list right there, Asana has been the easiest for me right now, because it's literally just a list, and I can just go right down through the list. I can use tags if I want to see, you know, which ones are from the UK. I can easily just go and look, okay, these are all my UK. Which ones have shown interest? I can literally just go and go to the interest tab. I can see all the people that I sent links to. I can see all the people that responded to an Instagram poll at some point. It's just I highly recommend that one. But regardless of whichever option you go with, we really want you at this point in the business to move it forward. We really want you to have a tracking system. Like I mentioned, conversation flow chart. So what will be your initial conversation? What will that look like? If they say yes, then what? If they say no, then what? Each person's follow-up system is going to look differently, and I know Kayla asked me what mine looked like. So I have it so that if they do say no, I usually do try, and this is like controversial a little bit. Some people, if they say no, it's a flat no. They don't even like probe them as to why. I am one that is not very, I don't take no for an answer very easily. So I usually want to know why, so at least I can put that in my notes. Maybe it's like they have a vacation or they're in the process of moving. Then at least I know, okay, that's what it is, and I can follow up. I can use that to pinpoint when I follow up. If they just say no, I'm just really not interested, and you just let it at that, and you don't know it's because they're moving, then you don't know that you can follow up in like 3 weeks or a month. So I always like to at least know why it's not a good time. But that's going to look different for each person, and that's the awesomeness of owning your own business. Is whatever you feel works for you. But if they say no, not at this time, and they're adamant about that, then I usually put them to a month. If they ghost me, meaning they don't say anything at all, I usually put it to a month, and I'm always just like, a follow-up would be, oh, maybe last month didn't work out so well. Maybe that wasn't a good time. Just wanted to let you know I have another one starting on Monday. I'd love to have you, that kind of thing. But I will say the fortune is in the follow-up because not many people will say yes right away, and they're kind of waiting. So it's the people, I've had ones where it was literally on the 7th month of following up where I was about ready to be like, you know what, I'm done. I'm never asking you again. And it was the timing, and they were.
So Megan, do you continue to follow up with them every single month?
Yes.
Even if they ghost you like for 2 months in a row?
Yeah.
Okay.
The only time I wouldn't is if I know for some reason, like, let's say it was coaching and they are, like right now, I have some field hockey coaches that are interested, but they're mid-season. And they're like, Megan, like, I want to do this. I just want to finish this season, so I'm not going to message them again in the middle of the season and be like, oh, coaching. I'm going to respect their, decision and wait till the end of the season, to follow up. So it's not always every month, depending on the situation. But if they're ghosting me, I do. I still do every month.
Okay.
Yeah. Third-party tools. Now these, we want to make sure that you use these supplemental to your invite. So not as a replacement. So like Coach Sneak Peek, for example, I posted that in the group. Like we run a few of those, but that's not like put them in there and forget about them. It's just supplemental to your initial invite. Some people use, I know I've used with like Lift 4, I use that 3-minute video that kind of explains it. And I've had people say, well, I wasn't really sure, but now I am, now that I see what it is. So you can use those little things that Beachbody already has for you, promotional videos, free sample workouts. I've had people decide to join via the free samples. You can make up your own like 3-minute video snippet. We have that coach, what is coaching video. Now that's a little lengthy, that's 12 minutes long. But if you have people that, you've been in conversation with, a couple back and forth, and you're like, you know what, I have an 11-minute video that kind of explains all of it in summary, like you can send that to them. So third-party tools, and Eric Worre in GoPro highly recommends using third-party tools as a supplemental resource. That could be one way to kind of just get your potential client, potential coach, a different look at what you're saying. I know with like tomorrow is that sneak peek, and it's like sometimes hearing from different coaches. I know Gabe and I have ran some together. Just hearing from different coaches' perspective is helpful sometimes too. So if you want to run one with other coaches, that's another way. That's a third-party tool to help. Okay, finding, where's it at? Yeah, okay. Finding your benchmark. So we talked about reverse engineering. This is going to look, we don't want to put goals on anybody. We don't want to pressure anybody, but we also don't want to hold, like we want you to excel, come out of your comfort zone and really press. Because I know some of you are like me, and right from the get-go, I knew I wanted to make this a 6-figure business. That's not everybody's intention, but I know for me it was. So I knew that I had to, hit Success Club 10. I had to like be reaching for that. I had to be inviting and building my team. So we want you to reverse engineer your monthly, weekly goals, but in order to do that, you actually have to have them, right? So if let's say your monthly goal is to have Success Club 10 and you want to recruit 2 coaches to your team, you're going to, and I know we've mentioned this before, but just going off of averages and numbers, let's just say as a new coach, your percentage is 1 out of every 10 respond to your invite, okay? So if only 1 out of 10 respond to that invite, and that can fluctuate. As you become more consistent and have more confidence in your inviting, that number will definitely grow. But let's say at first it's 1 out of 10. Use that and reverse engineer it. So you're looking at, like, if you want to reach these goals, 5 invites a month is not going to work, right? So really think about that. I know that most coaches right now can do what I took 3 years to do. Some people are doing in 1 year. So I don't want you to ever think that time's a limitation on you. It's just the effort that you're putting in. So if you want to get somewhere 10 times faster, 10x it. So instead of 5 invites, do 50 invites. That may seem like a lot, but some of you have big goals and you want to get there. You want to be able to leave your job. You want to be able to do this full time. Gabe just stopped me if there's anything you want to add. I know this was another one, building your network. This is huge because Instagram right now is awesome. Facebook still utilize that as well. But knowing your niche is so, so important, because the more honed in that you can get is the more you're going to be able to build your tribe. And when you start building your tribe is when your team really, really grows, because they have similarities to you and they're going to be as hardworking as you are. They're going to want this as much as you. That's the people that you want to attract, the people like you. And so knowing your 5 pillars, what are your unique interests, so that it's exciting, you know, to join forces with people that are like so driven, so hardworking, love fitness, love that. Like that's who your coworkers are. You literally get to choose your coworkers. So really be thinking about that. Like, who would you want your coworkers to be? Create that unique niche of hashtags. And my recommendation is to add at least 10 to your network. So on your list, we say create a list, but that list is always growing because people are going to come on and off of that. People are going to join your team. So your list, that kind of narrows down your list. Some people are going to say no. That narrows down your list, like they literally join another team or they were already a coach or something. So you want to always be adding on to your list. So here's examples, you know, find people that you have interest in. So don't just randomly go out there and like, I would just, the sooner that you can hone in on this and create a team of driven people that like you absolutely love, the better. Okay, so here's outsourcing. I do want to provide you with these options because some of you want to grow this very fast. I know for me, my goal was to get to 10,000 followers. So I have used Social Flight to kind of do a little outsourcing for me. So underneath that, it says Captivate and Cleaner. That's like a free version of what I pay Social Flight to do for me. So I have targets, meaning I have people just like me, and I will have Social Flight go in there and follow their followers. So I know that people following this person most likely will probably want to follow me, like we're very similar. So then they will go in and do that, and then they will go in and unfollow to keep that balance. So that's one option. There's different plans on that, $40 per month, $60 per month, but that has really grown my network tremendously. So I think in January I had like a little over 1,000 followers. I'm up to 12,000 now. So it really does work, and for the most part, like you're going to have some that are other coaches. You're going to naturally have that too. But for the most part, like I've found a lot of really awesome people, and so now that just allows you to start that connection. They're starting to trust you. They're starting to watch you. They're starting to watch your stories. It doesn't happen overnight, but you're building that up. So that's one way. Virtual assistants, so you may hear them called VAs, can be another thing. You can outsource them on Fiverr, Fiverr. So if you want someone to do your graphic designs for you, literally for like $3, $5, you can do that. Saves you time so you can put your time into something else. They have Instagram growth VAs. They have content people that will plan out and, make your posts visually appealing. So if you go to certain Instagram accounts and they're all very nicely, they have presets that like all the photos flow. You can have a VA do that for you. Maybe newsletters, content creation. You literally can outsource whatever you want to do. Now, I only say that because that could be something you put on your vision board. It wasn't something that I did. Like, it took me over 3 years to finally outsource. But it's one of those things where like you could make that a goal possibly, and to be able then to delegate. So I don't say that necessarily for you to do, but just to have in mind and keep in mind, because I'm telling you, some of you are going to see growth like tremendously, and you could be at this point very, very quickly before you know it. So it's just always an option. But I also have there at the bottom, do not compare yourself to veteran coaches, because most of them are using VAs. So I don't say that for you to use as an excuse, like, oh, well, they have assistants doing all their work, because that's not true. But I say that so you don't get caught in the comparison game. Because a lot of these coaches that have been coaching for 7 years, even myself, have been coaching for 3 years, it's a different point. So we all have been at the point of just a new coach putting in like 18-hour work days. I still do. So I don't want that to be an excuse for you to be like, oh, well, I'm never going to be able to reach that because they use assistants. No, most are still working 12 to 14 hours plus assistants. So I just say that so you don't get caught in the comparison like, wow, they do it all, like they're getting all this done. And I just want you to know, like, a lot of them are using assistants. Building your network. I talked about this already, being ghosted. They're still watching you, but that's where the gap needs to be filled. So if you are inviting, but you don't have anything on your page, no content, no value, you're not showing people that you are a product of the product, you're not showing that you're, working out, that you're eating healthy, that you care, then your invite's almost useless. But that goes both ways. Some of you are providing the Instagram stories, you're killing it on Instagram, but you are not inviting. You are not private messaging, so you're not getting success club points. You're not getting people connected because you are spending all this time making awesome Instagram stories, awesome content, but you're not inviting. You're not reaching out and actually inviting them. And I say that because I was there. And I say that because I've had people say, I've been watching you for so long, but I was too embarrassed to reach out, or I was too scared to reach out. And so I want you to remember that just because you are putting things out there on Instagram stories, you're making awesome content, awesome posts, you are really sabotaging your business, or not sabotaging, but like preventing your actual, think about the money-making activities. And that's awesome that you're doing that, but if you're in this group, most likely you want to run this as a business, and you want to be able to maybe retire your husband, leave your full-time job, like things like that. That takes actually getting people to commit, people on your team, coaches signing up with you, and that takes like that initial conversation. So again, ask yourself that hard question, are you inviting? Are you providing the opportunity? And that doesn't just mean Instagram stories, it doesn't mean just like the content on your page, but like they go hand in hand. So some of you are doing one and not the other. Some of you are doing the other and not inviting behind the scenes. So with that being said, I highly suggest you pairing up, and Gabe and I could do this for you, because I can think of people in my mind that have one thing super solid, but I don't know if they're inviting privately. And I know some people that are inviting privately, but maybe don't have the content and the value and like and the page, like the different growth and social media down. We can pair you together and you will be dynamite, because if you share each other's strengths, like you'll be out of this world, like unreal. So we want to help you fill in the gaps. We want to be honest with you. And if you ask, I will be honest with you. I'll tell you where I see where you could maybe fill in some gaps and really help. That's what our job is for. I mean, we're here as mentors. So if you ask and you really want to know, I know I'll tell you. Are you taking advantage of location? Now, this is a little hack that I use. If you watch my Instagram stories, you may see that I hashtag micro morning. I don't actually use that hashtag. Nobody searches that hashtag. So I will put hashtag my micro morning, or morning micros, but then I will save that photo, delete it, and then start a new one and actually put a different hashtag on it. So you can do that where it will look like the hashtag that I use is morning micros. That's not the hashtag I use. It could be like hashtag fuel your body, because fuel your body is like, you're getting 170 viewers on that one. But I want people to know I call them morning micros, because that's almost like curiosity marketing. So the hashtag that you put on your photo doesn't actually have to be the hashtag that you use. Same with location. I will put location, I'll put United Kingdom a lot. I use London, United Kingdom a lot because I'm still trying to reach the United or the UK. So I just go and hide it. So a lot of times, unless I'm traveling and I want people to know like where I'm at, I usually just hide the location, and it's never Phoenix. I never put Phoenix. I usually put like the UK, or I do New York City a lot. I do San Francisco a lot. I do Denver a lot. I do different cities that I think might relate to that post. I use the UK whenever I do like palm trees and sun, because they don't have that. And I've talked to a lot of UK people and they love the US and they want what we have. And so I will use that geolocator, and I will get UK people following me because of that. So I just wanted to, I didn't know if people knew that. So you don't actually have to use the hashtag. You can actually use different hashtags. And location, you can do different locations. In your post, definitely take advantage of the 30 max hashtags. Try to make them as non-Beachbody coach related as possible, because that sometimes can prevent other coaches from following you. Utilizing your current network. We don't want to downplay what you already have, especially your warm market. So definitely be thinking about who you have not reached out. And I'm like over 3 years now, and I still have not touched everybody in my warm market, and I know you have not either. Think about who's watching your story, who's answering your polls and questions, liking your posts, and use that as an invite to invite. If people are following you, they're following you. You are allowed to reach out and invite them to things. They're following you. If they're liking your posts, like if you have people liking your fitness ones or your coaching ones, I'm telling you, and I was this person before, I remember before Beachbody, there was this person I followed on Facebook that did body competitions. And he coached people for body competitions. And at that point, I was like tossing around the idea. And he kept posting about it, and I kept liking them. But I never said, and it always said like, oh, let me know if you're interested, blah, blah, blah. But I never commented, I just liked it. And in my head, I thought, if he ever reaches out, you know, I'm gonna go for this. And I always think about that whenever I, you know, do a call to action, like, oh, comment below, like if you want to find out more information, and they just like it, but they don't comment, still reach out to them, because I was that person that just liked it, thinking and hoping that person would reach out to me. And that was kind of like my, oh, it's meant to be if they reach out to me. If they don't, then I know it's not meant to be. And so kind of use that. Like if people are liking on your stuff, they're following you, take that as a hint. You know, take that as a hint. Let's see. Conversation. This was a question in our thread. How do you reach out to people that may be turned off by Beachbody? And you know what? That was me, and that's a lot of people who are attracted to me. I've had a lot of conversations, and they're like about coaching recently because I've been more on that side, recruiting coaches. And I was like, if you go through my page, I don't like a lot of like I don't spew it all over the place that I'm a Beachbody coach. And they're like, yeah, you're right. Like I didn't need like you're not like salesy. You're not. And it's like, we don't have to be. And so I said, I have, created a very successful business, Beachbody business, without throwing it out there and vomiting that I'm a Beachbody coach. You know what I mean? So that's just because I know my niche. My niche isn't the one that is going to be the one that like holds up a Shakeology cup or, although that was me whenever I first started. I still have posts of me like kissing Shakeology. Nothing wrong with that. But I know for me, most people that are attracted to me are not going to be the ones that are all like putting hashtag Beachbody in all of their things. Nothing wrong with that. If that's you, then that's what you are going to attract, and that's your niche, that's your tribe. That's awesome. But the question was, how do you attract people that may be turned off by Beachbody? And this is my answer to that, is that, feel, felt, found. So I know I have used this in many conversations where I use this to relate to how they are feeling. So it's like, I completely relate to how you feel. I remember I felt the same way. I was like, nope, no way, not for me. But what I found was it has allowed me to stay accountable and ditch the yo-yo gym rat routine. Like I was that person that thought, hey, I'm a personal trainer. I can do this myself. I don't need other people like that. But I was also very kind of lonely where I didn't have to, if I didn't feel like doing it, I didn't have to do it. And I've found so much that this community, having a team, has made it so much more enjoyable, but not even more enjoyable, but maintainable. So you can use your own personal experience. Like if you're coaching, what attracted you to coaching? My big thing is travel. I want freedom. I don't want debt. Like I knew I wanted to be debt free. I knew I wanted to be able to travel anytime I wanted. And so that's what I attract to, because that's what I have proven is possible. Like I was the one that was working like 3 jobs, wanting so badly to move out here to the West, wanting so badly to be able to travel, work from home, be my own boss. And now I have proven that that's possible. So I attract people that want that too, because they know it's possible. So use that to your benefit. So even if you're not there, and I remember when I was not there yet, I knew my mentor did it. And so that's all I needed to know, that I could do it too. But in the meantime, when I had not yet achieved that yet, I still just said, this is what so-and-so did. Like I used other people's stories and just related to what I already had at that point, which was accountability, or like the most amazing people in my life, or the ability to get my food addiction under control. Whatever your story is, you put it in there, feel, felt, found, and apply it to that. Last thing, I believe, eliminate the fear of doing it wrong. Action trumps perfection. And I heard Bonnie Engel say this, done is better than perfect. And for so long, I was so like paralysis by analysis. I just thought, I can't do this yet because I don't know this. And what I did was I just listened to training after training after training instead of like action. And you need to do both, like still learn and grow, but apply as you are listening to all this personal development. Don't just be a reservoir, be a river. So take that in, what you learn, and then use it, apply it, share it. Last things, let's see, how to build confidence. I just know this from being an athletic coach. My team, how to provide them with the best confidence stepping onto that field is running plays over and over again. They knew exactly what to do in every moment. And that's why I said, like, one of the things or reasons why you may not have confidence yet is because you don't have your systems down, or you haven't practiced your conversations enough. Like, think about that as every single invite, take away the expectation of them saying yes or no, who cares? But use it as practice. If nothing else, use it as practice. Because the more that you do that, the more confident you're going to get. I promise you. And then that way you can see, you know what, I really love this conversation. It really seemed to get the point across. It really seemed to, you know, people were related to that. I'm going to use this one. And then that's how you create your own scripts. Because I have my own scripts now just from doing it so many times. I know like the best methods for me to be able to reach people. And last, okay, sorry, this is the last thing. Marketing. This could be a whole nother training, but we're not going to get into that. But this is so much content, and I just like trying to get it out there. Sorry. But marketing plan. Lay out your month. So knowing when you have a sneak peek, and then taking it a week prior to that, and use that week to invite. And then the next week, use to invite and promote to a challenge group. Like if you, some coaches have a whole like quarter in advance. I still am at the point where it's only like usually a month in advance because I'm not at that point where it's 3 months yet. But really you should have a month in advance. You should know what you're inviting to. You should know, like, again, if you're not running a sneak peek, Gabe or I am, maybe you're running one together, or our uplines are running one, somebody is. So knowing that and utilizing those third-party tools like we talked about. When's your next challenge group? I know a lot of times if I'm in paralysis by analysis, it's because I don't know what I'm inviting to. I haven't made a decision. And even if it's an online or ongoing group and you don't have a set start date, make one up. Make one up in your head. And I have found in invites urgency helps. So if I say I'm starting one on, you know, October 22nd, that gives them a point. They start to visualize, okay, you know, I get paid this Friday, so that would actually work out, blah, blah, blah. Like, put a date on there, even if you don't have a date. Create one in your mind. I want everybody registered by this date, so I can add them in on this date. Like, have that. Again, set mini benchmarks, 50 invites sent by blank. Like, be really, really specific. That's goal setting. That's going to really help you. Set yourself apart, clean, professional platform. Work on that inner work, that confidence. Be a product of the product, the leadership, respecting your energy, because people are going to be attracted to your energy. If you are writing that you are like sick up, you're so sick that it's Monday and you can't wait for the weekend, people are not going to want to be in a group where they hear that all the time. So I'm not, again, saying like put on a happy face and always be happy-go-lucky, but if you are going to talk about low energy states, you can say where you were, what you have used, and how it helped, okay? So showing a little bit of both, being real and authentic, but nobody needs more negativity in their news feeds. We're leaders. We are called to be, you know, be lights. So really protect that. And again, if you don't have anything good to say, you know, like use that time to work on your own energy and go back to prayer, meditation, personal development, motivational quotes, your vision board. Gabe and I are going to be looking to see if you have that coach application form. So if somebody's interested, you can send them that form. That's going to give you information into them. Check out ours. I believe Gabe has one on her link tree. I have one on mine. If you want to copy it, that's fine. But I like to print those off and I put them in and I always go back to them because I like to know what my coach's strengths are, what their goals are. That's going to help. Client registration form, scripts, tracking system, goals. We want, this is your action item here. We want you to really be diligent about this and proactive about it because this is really going to fuel your entire business. Add to your network. Some of you have such good, all of you have such good value and content, but you don't have very many people seeing it. You do not have very many people seeing it. But then I go and look and you're not using 30 hashtags. You're not really using even the, you know, your location where people can, like little things that can add up. But also with that being said, don't get caught up in thinking, oh, I don't have a huge network. When you already have one, You already have, because there are people that have 300 followers, and there are people that have like 10,000 followers. But if that person with 10,000 followers is not engaging or inviting or utilizing, it doesn't matter if you have 300 or 10,000. So don't ever like dismiss the ones that you do have, because I'm always one of those ones, I replay in my mind a lot. God is not going to bless you with more until you appreciate and take care of what you already have. So if you're not utilizing your 300 to 500 current followers, why would God give you more? Why would God give you 10,000 followers? You're not engaging and inviting and being proactive with the ones that you have, right? Trust the process and remember that you determine your speed. So I have a quote right here on my desk: the speed of a leader determines the speed of the pack. So you want a strong team, it's going to start with you, right? And so I always try to remember, like, people that you bring on will most likely, and I've heard this, and I don't know if it's necessarily true, but people will do half the work that you put in, you know? So it's like, at the end of the day, I ask myself, if my coaches did exactly what I did today, put in the time, the effort that I put in today, would they be successful? And I always want to be able to say yes, because I'm never going to ask you to do things that I'm not doing as well, you know? So think about that. And your teams, if you're struggling, you don't feel like your coaches are really being very active, or think about, again, don't put it on them. Think inside, you know, what can I be doing? What can I be doing? And start there. All right, Gabe. Did I?
You did. Oops. You did awesome.
Oh, thanks.
You did great.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess, like, if people have questions, we're going to post this in the group. Those of you not in the group, we'll post it. And even Gabe, maybe we can share this with some other, you know, people. But if you have questions, I know we put a lot out there, but that gives you some action items. You know, I think that's a huge place to start. A lot of action items, a lot of, like, kind of tough love, but really good. Like, if you start really asking yourself these questions, like, what do I say? You know, if you get clear and you have that on paper, like, it's going to really up your confidence, because you're going to know, like, okay, if they say this, I'm going to say this. You know, it doesn't have to be the same all the time, but you could know, like, okay, if they ask about coaching, then I'm going to send them this application form. You know, once they answer that application form, then I'm going to be able to look and see what their strengths are and be like, oh, wow, you're hardworking. You like to work with a group. You like this. Like, pinpoint that and allow that to just lead on to more conversations. So use these tools to kind of help build that confidence in your system. All right. Anything else, Gabe? We're good? I'll stop share. Okay. All right, so if you got this far in this video, we know you mean business. We know that you want to grow this business. Now the thing again is action, implementation, applying it, which we know, like, we're completely blown away by this team. The leaders on this team, like, it's amazing. It's truly a blessing and honor to be leaders among leaders. So we love you guys. We're here for you. And whatever, you know, questions, comments, whatever we can do to help you. If you want us to have, like, a mock, like, we Facebook message you and be like, oh my gosh, I see that maybe you're into coaching. Like, what is that? We can pretend. Like, we can do that for you. Like, whatever's going to help build that confidence, give you some practice. We can do that with each other. No problem. If there's a post that you want love on and you want us to comment, and I know Gabe's done this before with her, you know, her teams and things, you know, let us know. We're here for you. We want you to succeed. We know that you can. You already have everything inside of you to succeed. These are just added extra little things that can help you kind of just exponentiate that and go faster. But you be you, and we are so proud of you. I know I'm blown away, like, every single day by the content and value that you put out there. So, Gabe, I think I'm gonna go ahead and close it up. All right, love you guys. Bye.